So I was thinking about, we were talking about doing this story for the main show, but I'm kind of just like, man, I don't know. I don't want to be too doomery. This is a crazy story. Rep Mike Belcher says that someone detonated an explosive in front of his house, and also trying to figure out how you properly phrase this, because it seems to be a series of mortar shells launched at his home, which is serious, which basically operated like flashbangs. But I don't want to make it seem like someone tried blowing up C4 or anything, but what else do you call it? These are explosives. These are very serious and dangerous. A New Hampshire Republican says he believes a far left activist is behind the explosive device that was launched within a few feet of his home earlier this week. He said, so I heard the mortar sound. I was looking at my phone. I looked at the TV. A mortar didn't make any sense on the television, and it kind of hinted to me that I'm hearing it outside. After realizing the sound was outdoors, he says he saw a bright light and heard a deafening sound and was left him disoriented and ringing in his ears. He said he determined he was under some kind of threat and went to check the footage from a surveillance camera outside of his home. There's only a very short clip of what happened, but you can see something blowing up, I guess, a flash or whatever. He said launching explosives at somebody constitutes deadly force, justifying the use of deadly force in self-defense. So this is funny. Something similar happened to Cassandra Fairbanks when she was in D.C. They went to her house, started banging on her windows and launching fireworks at her house. And then a bunch of leftist media publications claimed it never happened and she was lying. And there's actually firework debris and stuff in front of her home. And it was like, this clearly happened. But this is the scary reality. And then we have this story from the Daily Mail. Michigan cops in Sault Ste. Marie, is that how you pronounce it? Hunt for camouflage suspect who fired at cop cars, then setting them on fire and destroying 3. Yo, what the fuck is going on, man?
That's the guy? That was the camouflage dude?
I guess. Setting cop cars on fire in camouflage? So who's doing it? Why are they doing it? No idea, man. You know, and it's a question of, is this attack on the Republican? Is it political? He says, I had explosives, plural, launched at my home from a vehicle.
When I saw that, the first thing I thought of was Jussie Smollett. And I'm not saying this guy's lying. I don't think he is, especially with footage of, there's obviously an explosion. That is much looks real. I don't know if he set the fucking thing at this point.
And but of course he didn't, dude. People on the right never do any, they won't even protest. Yeah. McCarthy, they send strongly worded letters. I really doubt they will engage in false flags.
I actually doubt it as well, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. And so I would not stake my career or my violent response or something like arrest, militarize. Like, I'm not going to do that from this.
I can imagine a Republican hiring a sternly worded skywriter to write a letter outside. How dare you do this?
Well, the left has mastered emotionally motivating the base, right? This is part of it. There's the same base that will get really mad and scream at someone and try to cancel them. Well, they're also going to get very angry very easily, and they'll do stuff like this. And the left also downplays fireworks. Like, they're not explosives.
Yeah.
I've seen the fireworks that my neighbor just set off this past 4th of July. Dude, if those were blown up outside my house, my windows would be blown in.
But
like, come on.
And you know one thing, too. I don't care how violent people are on the left. The Democrats, they stand behind their violent supporters
because they call them protesters.
Yeah, they call them protesters. Yep. They condoned everything that the BLM protesters did.
I can hear Maxine Waters right now.
They had fundraisers to get them out of prison, raising money. They were, and so I mean, these people are fucking crazy. I can say fucking crazy.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice.
Yeah.
What I want to not happen is I get so desensitized to shit exploding outside of people's houses that I'm just like, and then a guy gets blown up and killed. Like, I don't want that it to come to that.
How does it get to this point where, so this morning, seeing that 61 Antifa had been charged with RICO, we talked about it last night, and that 20 plus were charged with domestic terror.
Yeah.
The Democrats in Georgia said that they would not participate in criminal charges against the far leftists. So it's the Republican AG in Georgia saying we're going after Antifa. The local Democrats are like, we won't be involved. So the Democrats are like, y'all can commit terrorism. They don't care.
Yeah.
Then they're going after Donald Trump. And I'm just thinking, like, I did this long breakdown of how we get to this point and the speculation of civil war. Because what I hear for the most part is leftists right now have begun to push back very heavily against me having talked about these articles, these reports. And I think it's obvious. If someone keeps saying, hey, look, they're fighting a civil war, they're in trouble. there could be a response to the things they're engaging in. So now you're getting a bunch of leftist personalities trying to mock the idea that I've talked about it, because if the right doesn't think that they're being attacked, then they don't fight back.
You know, this is the thing. The Republicans do not. My bad. Here we go. Yeah. I love that this is uncensored.
Yes.
Because, you know, I get tired of holding back on the internet. You know, people say, oh, Terrence, don't use that language. Please don't use that language. It's bad language. But when I'm at home, I say things like this, like, fuck these Democrats. Fuck them all. Fuck Kevin McCarthy, too, for not standing up for us and for not standing up for President Trump and doing the right thing. And this is the problem. Like I said just a few minutes ago, the Democrats will stand behind their supporters no matter what. They stood behind those violent protesters, those violent rioters. And Republicans, a lot of those people that were at the Capitol did not, like, there were some people who were arrested and they didn't even go inside the building. And we have, and the Republican Party is not even standing up for those people. We condemn every single last one of them. That's some bullshit, and you know it. Like, y'all need to stand with these people. And I know some of the guys who got these, like, I know Joe Biggs. Yeah. Joe Biggs, I know the guy personally. I haven't talked to him in a very long time, but when I was living in Austin, he was living in Austin. They call this guy a racist. His child is literally mixed. He has a brown baby. This guy's not a racist. He's not a bad guy, you know. And
that doesn't stop them from calling them names.
Yeah, though. I know.
Larry Elder is the blackface of white supremacy.
But I don't think Joe Biggs is a dangerous guy at all, and I don't think he deserves all that time in prison. I just don't think so. And that guy has the guy has a good heart. He do. Because I know the guy personally. Now, maybe, you know, whatever he shouldn't have went to the Capitol. He shouldn't have told people to go. He shouldn't have done this, done that. I don't give a damn. None of them deserve 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, one damn year. They don't deserve any time at all. Because now, do y'all remember when they were calling Trump, they were calling him a bunker bitch?
No.
Yep. They were calling him a bunker bitch. Because they had to, and they turned the White House lights off. Because people were fighting with Secret Service outside the White House, trying to get into the White House.
Setting fire.
That was an insurrection. People were literally fighting with Secret Service, and they had to cut off the lights, and they called Trump a bunker bitch for going to the bunker. Now, did any of those people fighting with Secret Service go to prison? Hell no. All of them should have been in prison. They should now give them 10 years, give them 20 years. And then the damn mayor, the White House asked for help. They asked DC for help. They said, no, it is not the DC's police. They said it is not the DC police. They said they do not have to help the White House. It's not their job to protect the White House. That's the Secret Service job. That was fucked up.
But also think about just how willing they are to destroy their own cities. Trump offered help during the riots in 2020 to Seattle and Portland, right? Because they were gaining unauthorized access to government buildings, and they said, "No, we don't want your help," because they thought it was him being militarizing the situation, right? So they let their cities die. San Francisco is a crap hole. A lot of these cities they have no problem burning everything down, even if it's the cities that they're elected to serve in the best interests of, because it's best for the party.
I thought you mentioned an interesting point that people need to stand up. People like Kevin McCarthy need to stand up for some of these people.
Yeah.
But what do you think about Trump not really standing up for them? The J6 people in jail and stuff. Like Enrique Tarrio, Joe Biggs. Like, someone mentioned, like, where the fuck has Trump been for all this? He's complaining about himself right now.
Yeah. Well, okay. So when the Capitol thing happened, when it happened, nobody knew what was really going on. So him jumping to pardon them on day one, he didn't know. I was down there, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? He was down there too. I was down there, but I was not at the Capitol, you know, and him being the president, I think Trump was probably waiting on details, like, what's going on? He got all these people in his ear saying, they are storming the Capitol, Trump. They are trying to kill all the I'm sorry,
You can move it around with you too.
Yeah.
Whenever you go anywhere.
See, my ADD and ADHD is coming out right now. I'm just moving everywhere now. But they were all these people were in Trump's ear saying that they're storming the Capitol, they're trying to kill the senators and the House representatives and all this stuff. He didn't know what to do, so he put a tweet out and said, "Stop the violence and go home. I don't condone violence." And he put that out, and I think I think he was waiting, and you can say maybe he shouldn't have waited. I think he didn't know what happened. He didn't know all the details. They were saying that people got hurt and officers were getting killed, and they were putting out all this crap, and they were briefing him with this. What is he supposed to do? I mean, he didn't know.
Well, they withheld.
But now he knows it was all bogus and they were withholding information from him. But they were making it seem worse than it really was. So him as a president, he's being briefed on this and saying they're storming the Capitol. They're trying to kill Nancy Pelosi. Mike Pence is in there. They're going to try to kill him too. What was he supposed to do that day? Say, I pardon everybody.
What do you think?
No, he said stop the violence. So he said, I don't condone violence. Y'all go home. That's what he said. But and I do think when he becomes president, he will pardon those people. And listen, Trump was not perfect at all. Like none of us are perfect. But one thing is this though. This is why I'm different than some Republicans and conservatives, because I want President Trump to win. President Trump, I'm with him 100%. 100%. And I will not, on any podcast, on any show, while he's trying to win an election, I will not say anything that could hurt his campaign, that could hurt him, and that could make him look bad. I don't give a damn if I disagree with something. You won't know about it, and you won't know about it. Nobody will know about it, because I want him to win in 2024. If I disagree with him on something little, I can call the campaign and let them know, hey, I don't agree with this. But I'm not going to let CNN know. I'm not going to let these trolls know. I'm not going to give them what they want, because that's what they want. But that's just me. I
think you're right. I mean, the right constantly plays this game. And when I mean the right, I hate the language they use. You've got former liberals. They play the game of reasonableness. Mm-hmm. Of like, okay, but this is the Chinese communist method for manipulation. They would go to prisoners, POWs, and they would say, we're going to give you food, but first tell me one thing about your country you don't like. And they'd be like, what? Or the first thing they would do is be like, tell me that your country is not perfect. And they'll be like, well, of course it's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And they'd be like, oh, it's not perfect? Okay, here's your food. The next day, you said it was not perfect yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what's one thing about it that you think is not perfect? And then they'll say, I don't know, we've got, sometimes wages are too low for people, and they get mad about it. Oh, okay, here's your food. Every day, they say, be reasonable. Nobody's country is perfect. Give me one thing. And then eventually, they've got a person writing a letter saying, the United States has serious problems with this, that, or otherwise. They one step at a time get you to say bad things. If people who are anti-woke and anti-establishment, post-Democrat, post-liberal, conservative, keep playing this game of, you're right about Trump on A, but I still think he's good, then the conversation is constantly, Joe Biden is perfect among liberals and Donald Trump is only okay among conservatives.
Right. Because I don't hear them saying anything. I don't hear their side mentioning what they don't like about Joe Biden. But we want you Republicans to tell us what you don't like about Trump. We know you like him, but what don't you like? Because they're going to use that and they're going to put it in some headline. Black Trump supporter says that he hates when Trump says this. Like, right. No, I'm not giving you that. I'm sorry, buddy. It's not happening.
One of the problems I've got is I'll criticize their guy, and then I'll criticize your guy, and I'll criticize my guy. And I'll expect that justice will reign supreme and that the one with the least problems will be the one elevated. But what'll happen is whoever's in charge of the law will be like, okay, we're going to ignore the one about our guy that he said, and we're going to focus on this criticism. And they're like, dude, how can I be open and honest if you're going to twist and just cherry pick my shit?
This is exactly right. You'll come out and you will say, chocolate ice cream is bad for you. Vanilla ice cream is bad for you. and the headline will read, Ian slams chocolate ice cream. Internet erupts saying, how could he like chocolate more than vanilla? No, wait, he said it was both bad for you. That doesn't matter. They played this game where you can say something like, whatever you say, they will turn your quote into whatever they want it to be.
And
you saying that both flavors are bad becomes, who did the Leading Report did this the other day? I think it's Leading Report. And this is more of a right-leaning source. They said, CDC announces that you're more likely to get COVID if you've had the vaccine, or the new COVID variant if you've had the vaccine. That is completely true. They did say that, but they said more than that. They said people who have existing immunity, either from having COVID or the vaccine, are more likely to catch the new variant. And then Leading Report only focused on one to make it anti-vaccine. That's bullshit. This is what all these partisan players want to do. My favorite is when you can say something in jest and they turn it into literal. You can say something like, oh, come on, Ian. It's not like, oh, I like pineapple on pizza.
Tim said he likes pineapple on pizza.
Says, I like pineapple on pizza, which I do, by the way. But
yeah, we used to joke about that. We'd be like, it's not that I fucking hate you, dude. It's not that. It's not that I can't stand you the way you fucking smell, man. It's not that either. I'm not sure what it is.
But that's what the media will do. So now that you said stuff like, you were like, if there's something I disagree with Trump on, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to give it to him. They will twist that. Don't even have to quote it. They'll say, Terrence explains how he often disagrees with Trump. And that's it. And period.
Crazy.
Avid Trump disagreeer.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Yeah, and I want to talk about loyalty. Like Ron DeSantis. Now, some people say that Trump is not owed any loyalty from anybody. Okay, we can talk about loyalty. Okay, one thing, and this is another thing why I will not disagree with. If I got a problem with Trump, I have access. I have Eric Trump's phone number. I have Don Jr.'s phone number. Kimberly's and I don't have Donald Trump's. I don't have President Trump's phone.
You don't
number.
got Barron's number?
I don't have Barron's number. But
he's like 8 feet tall.
But President Trump has invited me to his dinner table when he was the president at a Super Bowl party randomly. He has been very kind to me. He's never asked of anything from me. He's been very, very nice, and I know how to get access to him. Which I don't ever try to get access to him really because he's a busy man. I want to go see Trump, you know. No, this man is busy. But like I'm not saying I have access. Like I can call right now and have a meeting with Trump tomorrow. Not like that. But I know people that will try to help me get in a room with him and talk to him, you know, because I have been in his office before while he was working and stuff like that. But if I got a problem with him, I feel like I should go directly to him or to people that's close to him. Because, like, for instance, if I got a problem with Tim, I have access to Tim. I can write Tim on Twitter. I done sat here with him on his show. If I got a problem with something he said, I'm not going on Twitter to say, Tim Pool, @Tim Pool, you know you wrong for this. I disagree with you. It's some stupid shit you didn't know.
That's a quote now.
Yeah, exactly. That's a quote now. Yeah, I'm gonna write Tim on Twitter, or I'm gonna see if I can get his number. Hey, somebody text him and let him know. I just want to tell him I really disagree with that, and you know, That's how I feel like things should be done when you personally know somebody. Ron DeSantis personally know Trump. He done sat at that man's table. Trump helped him become governor. If somebody helped me become governor, if they want to run for president, they don't want me to run. I'm not going to run because you know what? I wouldn't have been governor if it wasn't for you. So the least I can do is let you do your thing. I want to help you win. Now, let you help me. That's how I would have been. I want to help you win just like you helped me. So Ron DeSantis could have been like Trump. I want to help you win like you helped me win because I wouldn't have had a second term if it wasn't for you because I would have never been governor if it were not for you. So I just feel like he should have, he should have just been more loyal. I do think he should have been more loyal.
I may be like just not loyal at all because I value the office overall. Like I will exudate the loser that's screwing the office over, even if he's my best friend. If he's fucking it up, then he's got to go.
Well, the thing is this though. I appreciate that. I can respect that. But I think Ron DeSantis, he just want to be president. That's all. He know good and well that President Trump is going to be a fantastic president. He knows that President Trump, everything that Ron DeSantis wants to do or wants to fix in his country, President Trump already said he want to do that. Things that Ron DeSantis, Trump didn't finish the border. Shut the hell up, because they stopped this man from they stopped funding for the border. So Ron DeSantis, shut the hell up, be quiet. I don't think that your reasoning, I don't believe that's Ron DeSantis' reasoning. Yeah, I just believe he just think that he just really want to be president because somebody told him, whispered in his ear, this is your time. And he's like, okay.
And he's termed out as governor, so it's this or nothing.
Yeah.
You have to do it. And instead of becoming a great governor who is going to have a political future that people would love and respect, he's become this faded figure that people are actually tired of.
Like a hater. It's the hating tactic. So annoying.
Oh, his campaigns, his staff, his communications people are the worst.
He'll always be known as the guy who smiles funny from now on.
Or the looking and raising your hand. But let's go to callers. Let's pull in our callers who can ask some questions. We'll start with some guy. Some guy is here. You are in the show. Ask your question.
Good evening, gentlemen. I hope everyone is doing well. So you guys really have been going straight into what my question is about, which is awesome. So you talked a little bit about the left and how they are automatically unified no matter what. They're gripped by mystical logic. The right, they sit there and debate about whether or not you should rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic, and they don't do anything. So my question for Mr. Williams is this: in Twitter, you have talked about and got a lot of attention on a idea of getting a Republican AG to go after Obama for some of his crimes, like murdering a 16-year-old innocent kid. Would you be willing to put your effort and your energy to actually do that, to do what the left does, to take advantage of the vociferous minority and get people on board with that?
Yeah, I do. I speak about it. Oh, I'm sorry. So I do think that Republicans, they should encourage DAs to go after people like Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and keep on going after Hunter Biden, go after Joe Biden. And all I can do is say we should do that, because I don't have any connections to these district attorneys and these prosecutors. I don't know these people. I don't know how to get in contact with these people. I can call their phones and I can leave messages, or maybe I can put their phone numbers out on Twitter, their work number out on Twitter, and their emails, and tell people to request them to go after people. Go after Obama, go after Hillary, go after this politician, that politician. That's what we have to do. I mean, I'm not a politician. I don't want to run for office. But if I was a politician, I would be ruthless. They would call me crazy as F. I would be really ruthless. I would be I would be worse than Nancy Pelosi. I would be worse than her.
Terrence?
I would make the Democrats I would make their lives a living hell.
Terrence for AG.
Terrence for AG?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just go after him. I don't give a damn. I will do what they're doing to Trump, just making up shit. Trump put this on Twitter. I'll do the same thing.
Press secretary.
AOC conspiracy. AOC tweeted, "Go after them." This was a conspiracy to promote violence or something. I would just make up shit just like they do.
Would you want to be press secretary?
Press secretary?
Yeah.
Oh, probably. I don't know.
But I just think it would be so awesome.
It would be funny.
Yeah, you roasting the
press. It would be funny. Yeah, it would be funny.
Amazing.
I would be press secretary. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, listen. I would be press secretary. I do have a little stuttering problem. So I don't know if they would hire me, but but that's all right.
I haven't noticed.
Yeah.
I don't even think you need to make up shit about when Maxine Waters. Well, you guys could argue this, but when she was telling people to go fight,
Yeah.
Do you remember the actual literal?
In their faces?
Well, I guess I won't have to make up anything.
Yeah,
I'll
she
just
specifically said that.
I guess I won't have to make up anything. I will just take things that they said and make it sound very extreme. That's what they do to us.
The Democrats said they
And
want to kill babies before they're born.
And this is why they do it too. They do it even when they know they don't have a case. They want to, defame like Trump and other Republicans. That's all. That's what they want to do. They want people to think that they are criminals, even if they don't get to convict Trump. Their job is to make him look like a criminal to all Americans. So even if, because one thing, even if he don't go to jail, people are still going to say the indicted president, the indicted former president, the president who was arrested. That's all they want. That's all they really need. That's what they think. That's all they need. But people are starting to wake up and realize, hey, what they're doing is not right. So now they need to arrest them. Now they need to put. They're thinking we need to put him in jail, in prison now, because us arresting him is not going to stop people from voting for him. This mugshot is not going to stop people from voting for him.
I agree.
So I just think we just have to tarnish all of their names and just run them through the ringer and accuse them of take things that they said and say, hey, Maxine Waters, you said that if you see a Republican at the grocery store, that you should walk up to them and you should tell them off, and you should
in their face.
Yeah, and you should be in their face. Maxine Waters, she told people to go. She was trying to influence people to murder Republicans, even though she didn't say that. But that's
what the Democrats do.
But that's how we took it.
Well, you'll get someone on the right saying, "Look, people, you got to fight back," and they'll say Terrence calls for violence and tells people to get physical, et cetera, et cetera. Like we were talking about with how the media manipulates.
But if someone gets in my face, that's like assault. I mean,
it literally is.
That is assault.
But let's some guy. Was there anything else you wanted to elaborate? If we get to the core of your question, or was that sufficient?
No, you guys did great. I would just want to point out that the origin of this comes from Gustave Le Bon's teaching. So I would encourage everybody read Gustave Le Bon's work, specifically The Psychology of Socialism and The Crowd, A Study of the Popular Mind. And I would be remiss if I wouldn't encourage everybody, come to the after show afterwards on the Discord community. We do lots of fun things. Have a great night, guys.
Right on.
Thanks for calling in.
Let's jump to our next caller. We'll grab Lynch Mob. Lynch Mob, welcome to the show.
Yo, thanks for having me, guys. Welcome to the show, Terrence.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
My question was kind of, all right, like in the height of COVID, we would all see those people that were driving in the cars with their mask on.
Yep.
And it kind of became like it was like a game with me and my kids. Like who could spot the person in the car with the mask on first and make fun of them, kind of deal. Then over the summer, it died down, and just like in the past 2 or 3 weeks, and I live in like rural Texas, and I'm seeing like all kinds of people driving around by themselves with masks on.
Wow.
I saw two last week.
Yep.
It's coming back. What did Joy Behar say? It's back.
I think these people are always going to be afraid of something, and then now the government's given them that thing to be afraid of.
Here's what you do.
So
when you go out to a restaurant or something, everyone should do this. I'll start doing it. If you see any of their employees wearing a mask, go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Do you have COVID? And they'll be like, no, you're wearing a mask. Are you lying? I want the manager. And they'd be like,
Take a test
they
now.
have COVID? Why are they wearing a mask? And then they'll be like, they'll be like, people, this guy's got COVID. He's serving you food.
Yeah.
And then leave.
Man, you know what? During the height of COVID, I'm not gonna lie, they were scaring the living hell out of everybody. When they first started talking about it, they even scared me. Now, I did not take the vaccine, but I was so scared. I would order food. As soon as DoorDash or Uber Eats drop it off, I'm spraying the bag with Lysol. I went on Amazon. Instead of buying multivitamins, I looked on the back of my multivitamin bottle, and I bought each vitamin individually. Vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I mean, I was buying everything that said immune support. I mean, I got sick just by taking so many vitamins. and that was just me being scared. And I'm not even going out. I didn't even go outside.
Right.
I'm in the house. I was in the house by myself, and I'm like, why am I so scared of catching COVID? And I haven't even went outside.
Now imagine the kids, the children that grew up with this in 2020,
Yeah.
and this is their world now. That they think anytime there's any kind of you get the sniffles, you need to mask up,
They-
and that's
they
a
don't-
safety blanket for them.
You know, back in the day, if somebody sneezed, you say "bless you."
Exactly.
You know. Now you sneeze, somebody running like like they heard a gunshot.
That should be a skit right there. Yeah, that's funny.
That's a good point. We should be blessing the sick.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to I can't remember where I was recently. I think it was a couple days ago, and I saw a lady wearing a mask, and it kind of freaked me out, not because of them having COVID, but because I was worried these people are psychotic.
Yeah.
I'm like, this person is, well, I'll try and be nice. They're cognitively impaired.
Did you see
Yeah.
the video of the lady? She's like, she's been wearing a mask since all this started, and she's like, I'm going to the Taylor Swift concert, and she has like a rebreather that she wears, and she's got it, and she has to have it like strapped to her to filter the air out with a specially made mask for it. And she's started a business where her whole channel is just how to mask in a society full of selfish people who will not wear their masks now.
For $39.99 a month, you can get my course showing you how
Well,
to
no,
mask.
she would show up to these events and give people masks, and everybody said no. She's like, I don't know why nobody wants to take them. Like, because it's 2023, and that's why nobody wants to take your mask.
Lynch Mob, you actually hadn't asked a question yet. I think you just had preempted it. But did you have a question too?
Well, I mean, y'all kind of Kellen kind of hit part of it, and then so did Tim. Like, I'm worried. I'm super worried about what this is doing to the kids. Like, I think they're gonna grow up thinking that, especially insecure kids or like kids with autism, stuff like that. Like a kind of an escape route to like where nobody can see their face. But then the question was eventually going to be like, do y'all think this is some kind of like mental illness? Did like COVID just break them with mental illness?
They were likely already broken.
Well,
They were already broken, and this was just the impetus to. It's how it took form.
If
for
it
them.
wasn't COVID, there'd be more Greta Thunbergs.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know.
the Trump
Blocking highways.
derangement.
The thing is
Through the media.
a lot of Americans need a lot of Americans need direction, and sadly, a lot of them need people to tell them what to do and how to think. That's the problem. And like you speak of these kids that may have autism or insecure, COVID wouldn't be a problem for them if their parents had a little bit of common sense.
But it united
because they
people.
learn from their parents and they listen to their parents. So if their parents are freaking out, then of course they're going to freak out. But then if they're at home and their grandmother and their mom and dad is telling them this is bogus, don't you be scared, son. Don't listen to that crap. They're going to go to school and they're going to be looking at other kids. Mom, they're going to come back home. Mom, I went to school and everybody had a mask on, and I was thinking like, oh my God, they're so dumb, like. But if your parents are, freaking out and they're listening to Fauci and the CDC and they're listening to everything that these politicians are saying, then yes, their kids are going to have issues. But it starts at home, though.
I thought, who was it that said they were driving around with their kid in the car, pointing at people with masks and laughing? That was you, Lynch Mob? That's a great tactic, because that's the ground up, grassroots momentum that produces a healthy child base.
I just want to also add, I hit up Chef Gruel.
Okay.
Andy Gruel.
Yeah.
I was like, let's open these restaurants, and he's like, let's do it.
Yeah.
What's annoying though, it sucks for the people that are truly immunocompromised, who if they get a common cold, they'll die. And now all these people that are abusing the masks, your initial reaction's like, why do you have a mask on? When there's some people, very few, actually need it. And now,
Those are fucking
ruins it for
criminals that are
them.
breaking into stores with their masks on,
Oh,
using it
I
as an
know.
excuse
I
to
know.
keep their face
Celebrities are
off the
wearing
camera.
them.
Yeah.
Celebrities are wearing them so they don't get recognized out in public. I would also worry more. Like, another thing is, like, think of all of the cognitive impairments that are coming from kids who grew up at a time period where they just weren't looking at faces for several years. They're behind on the ability to recognize emotions from other people. When they're looking at reactions from their parents, the people whose face they'd see every day, they're far behind. And they said that kids' test scores are now falling far behind because of all of the, the problems that COVID caused the education system.
I knew masks would never take off as a mainstay is because Hollywood would never make their movies with people with masks on, even in 20. It's just not going to sell. Nobody wants
We
it.
did this insane topic where this lady, she's like, I was just wondering, why weren't there any masks in the Barbie movie?
Oh my god.
Like, and it's like this, and
Wow.
it's insane. And you just, she's like, I'm not saying like the main characters have to wear them, but like no background characters or nothing. I'm just like, these people, they're insane.
It's a cult.
It's a cult of safety, and it's a cult of prostrating yourself before the people that you worship by showing that you're a good person by wearing your mask. And I just feel sad. Like I feel pity and I feel sadness for them more than anything because it's not freedom. It's
And they're
not a way to
valuable
live.
allies. If you can shock them out of it, they do thank you and they're grateful for
The
it.
worst thing that we did was the worst thing that we did was comply. That was the worst thing because what they did was they were like, we're going to see if they do what we say.
Yeah.
If they are going to comply, stay at home, not leave their homes. If they're going to allow us to shut down their businesses. Wow, they really let us do it. Wow. And we gave them a taste of control, and they can't get enough of it.
And right now, America has a there is a severe culture of safety, of need for safety. It's like when the people were posing the question, is your freedom more important than my safety? And you say, yes, my freedom is more important than your safety because it has to do with the individual. And I don't know if this is because it's a very, if it's a gynocentric idea, right? The idea of safety, the culture of safety that's more important to women than it is for men who tend to be less risk averse, you know? So
Safety first is a huge thing in the theater. I mean,
oh, go ahead.
in a lot of industries, safety first, because you cannot work, you cannot even begin to be free if you're not safe. You drop a box on your leg, you step on a nail, like safety first. But the reality is that doesn't translate to politics.
No.
Yeah.
Politics, freedom first.
I think like safety is the opposite of what dudes tend to want.
Yeah.
Like, you watch Instagram and it's dudes jumping off buildings for fun.
COVID was the greatest time in the world for me because every business was shut down. So I got to skate for like 2 years at a bunch of places I would never be able to skate because
like I Am
everything.
Legend.
It was amazing. Like I would be able to go out every day. Streets were empty. Everything was empty. And it was like a scene from a movie. And it was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, it was terrible, but I think they're going to try it again, but I think a lot of people will not comply. And I'm not just talking about conservatives and people on the right. I'm talking about millions of other Americans who are not even in politics, who they're not going to comply because people do not want to go through that again.
I bet that correlates with the Democrats that don't give a fuck about Joe Biden. They're like so done with the Democratic Party, but they voted for him the last time. They ain't touching a fucking mask. They ain't voting for that guy again.
No, they're not.
I bet there'd be an interesting correlation.
They're not.
Lynch mob, was that satisfactory?
Yes, sir. It was. One more thing. I think it's there's a heavy dose of tribalism in there too, because it's the people that were for it are just prepping up and going ahead and starting to go ahead with the narrative.
Yeah.
Other than that, y'all did great. And I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out the Discord is amazing. If you're not on there, all kinds of stuff. We've already shouted out the late show. The news chat is amazing. We have an awesome aggregate from several members of all kinds of news stories throughout the day. And also, Ian, I love you. I don't care what Tim says about you behind your back in Discord.
I knew he was talking about it. Thanks, man.
Right on, man. Thanks for calling in. The other thing I'll say is we're discussing what to do with the source code for the game we're making. And I say we just give the source code, like open source, have fun, finish the game, and make the game work. Because, I don't know.
Yeah, you might get 8 iterations of the game, and they're all differently awesome.
Or, I mean, no, I'm just saying we put it in the Discord, and it becomes collaborative between people who are devs and want to start adding to it.
Make it
then
AGPL3 so that anyone that changes and adds code, that code is also remains free, so the entire community can like work on top of each other.
That's just the kind of stuff we got to figure out, because it's not so simple as to be like, here's the code, guys, have fun. Because we have to figure out how we do it properly so that, it's an open game for everybody to play. But I think the game's really cool, and it can be
it can be modded.
Yeah.
It'd be fucking crazy.
All right, we're going to grab Asuna-sama.
What up?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. Chilling.
Awesome. I'm back with another question, just like COVID. How you guys feel about
He's
that?
back. He's back.
Yep, I'm back. So my question was is actually a little specific about some of the stuff Tim's been saying on his show over the course of time. So I want to go ahead and cite a few really brief examples real quick before I actually get into the question. One of the things that Tim has said on the show is, a lot of the good cops have left, and a lot of the cops that remain are bad cops who are just there for a paycheck, and also to comply. Another thing that Tim said is founding fathers were right in what they did, and also what they did is bad.
Say the second one again. You broke up a little bit.
I apologize. One of the things that you said is that, what the founding fathers did, rebelling against the tyranny of the British crown, was a good thing, but also rebelling against tyranny is bad and doesn't work.
But when did I ever say those things? Like, I just got to flat out say, like, that's not true, and I have not said those things. Next.
You have, and I could pull the clips, but that's not my question. My question very specifically is, how do you, in your mind, reconcile when some of the things that you've said directly contradict each other?
Like what?
I mean, the examples are cited.
So I'll say is that was like a good corporate mainstream assessment of what I've actually said. So like first, saying that good cops have quit and what remains are bad cops, that's true. And then saying Tim says comply is like probably an oversimplification of what I've actually said to make it seem like it's contradicting the first thing. So we can break that down. It's actually really simple. You're not going to win a legal battle punching a cop. The fuck does that mean? There's gonna be two cops with guns pointed at you and you think screaming in their face is gonna win you anything? No, your probably best course of action is to turn around, keep your mouth shut, don't talk to them, put your hands behind your back and win in court if you can. That's actually quite simple. The fact that cops are corrupt actually just justifies that point. When the Supreme Court Justice, I can't remember his name, famously said, never talk to the cops. That's like a famous quote. All the leftists know this. The Proud Boys got into a fight in New York City with Antifa. Antifa ran away from the police and refused to give information. The Proud Boys, with smiles on their dumbass faces, said, yes, officer, here's my name and address, and here's what happened. And the cop said, awesome, now we're going to put you in prison for 5 years. Congratulations. So in what circumstances it makes sense that you would be like, the cops are all corrupt and bad, I better punch them? That sounds dumb. As for what the founding fathers did, we're talking about the 1700s and a revolutionary period of 20 years. The shot heard around the world was 1775 in April. That was a year before the signing of the Declaration of Independence. You had the Boston Massacre. You had the Boston Tea Party. You had 20 years of redcoats actually fighting with and people shooting at and killing each other. Patriot militias formed before the Continental Army. You had locals just taking up arms and getting into fights with redcoats, which were effectively like the National Guard at the time, because the militias were basically how police operated, though there weren't police departments. So to say that I've said the founding fathers did good things, but that you should comply is a gross oversimplification of what I've actually said and doesn't actually contradict what I've said, because I've actually gone into great detail explaining what you need to do. For one, the establishment machine thrives on control of violence. They have a monopoly on violence, and they justify their control by anyone acting out and engaging in a way that scares regular people. If the average person is not paying attention, doesn't know what's going on, then someone like Enrique Tarrio, saying don't leave can be twisted, manipulated to make it seem like he was part of a grand conspiracy to go up against the government. They can then use that to justify whatever the fuck they want. Right now, you've got a bunch of J6ers being arrested by feds with rifles pointed at them when they're portly fellows who are unarmed. Why? They likely want a violent reaction. And that's probably what they were trying to get out of Provo, Utah, when they went and killed that guy. They looked for a guy who they were hoping to get a news story in a 2024 cycle who acts violent so they can win. So if we take into consideration what the world was like back in the 1700s with written script that took 3 months to travel back and forth to Europe, compared to instant video and fifth generational warfare, the strategy would be occupying a building does not grant you political power. That one's obvious. In which case, how do you win political power? Cultural influence. So while, like the founding fathers, you want to resist, you want to speak, you want to propagandize, you want to create documents winning the cultural battle, you only will ever actually get anyone to challenge the machine if you have the cultural influence and the confidence of the people that you actually can win. The interesting thing is that it was so bad between the British Crown and what had been happening with redcoats coming and occupying the colonies, that you actually had a minority of the population, but a plurality of sentiment that resulted in the American Revolution. Today, we're dealing with third, fourth, and fifth generational warfare. The establishment machine, the uniparty, needs someone to get violent so they can create the narrative and then justify an expansion of police and keep people too terrified to do anything. If it ever actually gets to the point where the military is going and executing people in the street, you will get, whether you want it or not, militias forming and a revolution happening. You had a Boston massacre. You had stories like this. You had the Lexington and Concord. They're trying to seize the weapons from people. If the government comes to that point, which we are not quite at, whether you ask for it, whether you request it, whether you reject it, no matter what you think, there will be violence. For the time being, there is a clean path forward. Donald Trump is currently the favorite to win based on all the metrics right now. And they're so desperate, they're trying to get a violent reaction. Don't give it to them. Keep making money, keep building the parallel economy, keep spreading the word, keep challenging the machine, keep rejecting the wokeness, and watch Bud Light and Target fail while Sound of Freedom and Richmond, north of Richmond succeed. Anybody who is making the argument for violence is probably a Fed trying to help Democrats and the Uniparty win. So all of that is completely sensical and in line with everything I have said. This idea that the founding fathers went around shooting random people is nonsense. That never happened. And it was only due to excessive pressures from the crown that resulted in random groups of people fighting back, which led a year and a half later, or a year and 2 months later, to them being like, we finally got everybody together and think we should probably declare independence at this point. And then it was what? 1787, 11 years later, they drafted a constitution. So a lot of stuff happened in the revolutionary period. We are now dealing with a culture war, which is probably civil strife, and we can resist it. And hopefully we end up in a historical context where no civil war ever happens. Donald Trump wins. He goes nuts with an AG who then starts prosecuting people. There will be some insurgent conflicts for sure, but ultimately the appetite for violence outside the system crumbles. If Donald Trump doesn't do it, you will likely then see an iron fist come crashing down on Trump and his supporters. If that ends up happening with the seizure of guns, the seizure of property, the implementation of abject Marxist policies, and the sterilization of kids, again, whether you want it or not, shit gets bad. But for the time being, as we are winning the culture war, the stupidest thing in the world would be to be violent. That's not even actual resistance. That's supporting the establishment. But anyway, I could continue, but I think that's sufficient.
No, you didn't even answer the actual question.
Which is
you latched onto the violence aspect and just ran with it like a straw man. The question was, how are you reconciling certain things that you have said that directly contradict other certain things
like what?
you said? Now maybe
like
my
what?
examples are bad. So here's another one. You have said that we're going with what you're saying. If the trust the system, comply with the system, go with it. You're right. Maybe punching the cops in the face isn't the best idea. Go to court, win in court. You also say that the justice system has been corrupted and the DOJ has been weaponized against one side of the political spectrum.
And that's not contradictory.
How is that not contradictory?
If Trump wins, he owns the DOJ. He puts an AG in, and then the DOJ is now on Trump's side. What are you talking about?
That's not how that works. We saw when he got elected in the first place,
and he fucked up. And so the point is, if it's 51%, Trump is your best bet. Before anything escalates, the opportunity now is get Trump elected and hope that him being personally slighted in his lust for revenge results in him appointing an AG who actually starts charging people. That may not be the case, but that's the only thing we have in front of us right now. None of what you said is actually contradictory. The idea that Joe Biden is weaponizing the DOJ is the cause of why we need Donald Trump to win the presidency and the cause of why we don't want violence. Because Trump actually is the favorite right now. Even CNN is saying this, and they're so terrified of that being the reality, they're trying to remove Trump from the ballot because they can't win. If Trump wins and his passions inflame his brain and he brings in an AG who actually starts charging people, you will see them get arrested and it will de-weaponize the DOJ, or in fact, weaponize it in a just way to go after people who are corrupt. But again, what you gave an example of is not a contradictory, those statements don't contradict each other.
If that's your view on it, then I guess that's the best answer I'm going to get. So
I'd be
You
down.
guys have a good one.
You too, man. I'd be down to
Appreciate
continue the questions, but come specifically with it written down, the 2 quotes and maybe some context, because I'm into it. Talking about what obviously violent revolution is not what anyone's aiming for, and obviously the founding fathers did the right thing by overseeing a violent revolution. So that is a strange conundrum, but the reality is, you could argue they were backed into, when you're backed into a corner, every animal will fight for its survival. I don't know. It's
I'm
a
sure
long
the founding
conversation.
fathers had to hold their tongue certain nights. They really wanted to punch the British, and the guys were like, no, don't do it. They're going to beat the hell out of you and throw you on a prison ship. They had to make decisions.
But it's not just that. The shot heard around the world was when they tried seizing weapons and local militias just got into a fight with them. There was no call to action. It was just
a skirmish.
I mean, it was a skirmish. It wasn't even actually like the first battle wasn't even a real battle, and there wasn't even a declaration of independence. It's grains of sand making a heap. And people don't realize this because they read history and they think the shot heard around the world was like the Continental Army hereby declares we're fighting back. No, it was random dudes who had guns. That was it. Yeah. And they were trying to seize weapons from people. These things are all on the table. And I mean, the fascinating thing is, if you read about what the founding fathers were saying, many of them were absolutely opposed to the escalation of violence until the redcoats came and started shooting people. And then even then they weren't outright like, well, the appropriate thing is start murdering people. No, it was like, we write letters to the king over and over and over again. And they kept petitioning the crown, and the crown kept saying, fuck off. And then finally they said, we're going to come take your weapons. There's too much history here. It's crazy. They said that Massachusetts was as a single colony was in a state of rebellion because they wouldn't turn over their guns. There was not a unified effort against them. You end up with people being shot and people being killed. Then this builds the sentiment where you get a Continental Congress, which was actually arguably illegitimate. A lot of people at the time were asking, who gives these who gives these individuals from these colonies the right to represent the whole colony? There was no legitimate election saying that they could go to the Continental Congress and formally declare independence. And that's the point. The sentiment for independence in the colonies was widely believed to have been a plurality, not a majority. And you actually had a decent amount of people who opposed it. What happens with the American Revolution is basically a war broke out, whether anyone wanted it or not. And the founding fathers were trying to avoid this. And it ultimately resulted in expansion of war, French intervention for a variety of reasons, mercenaries being deployed. The British crown was split on 2 fronts and couldn't maintain the conflict, and ultimately decided it wasn't going to work out. There's a lot of conspiracy theories around what happens next, but it's much more complicated to just say the founding fathers were like, you know what, guys, it's been 3 months or it's been 3 years and we should go fight redcoats. No, it was 20 years. The Boston Massacre and the Boston Tea Party were 3 years apart. There was way differing views between each of the colonies. The 14th colony of Quebec didn't want to join the revolution and didn't. So they say it's the 13 original colonies. It was more than that. There were more colonies than just that. But anyway, the simple version of it right now is, if the issue is we operate within a system of rules that is being held together by fine strings, but those strings still exist and there's still confidence in the system, the winning move is to gain control of the system and then repair it. Not to smash it and then let those who have already weaponized the federal government come crashing down on you with their full force. You win the war before you wage it. That's Sun Tzu. The idea that the answer is a disparate faction of disorganized people right now would do anything other than try to win legally or in the courts is complete nonsense. When backed into a corner, if they're massacring and murdering people, self-defense is self-defense. For the time being, you've got corrupt DOJ going after people with exorbitant charges and a breakdown of the system to an extreme degree with still a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's why they're taking extreme action. It may be that being smart, being prepared, knowing what's going on is immaterial, because even if Donald Trump does win, they will deny it. So, then if the end result is inevitable, then there's no point in saying anything other than make sure you've got food, water, you have a plan, make sure you know who your friends and family are, and get ready for one fucked up wild ride because you have no idea what's coming next. I actually think there's a strong probability they can't stop Trump. Trump's not a guarantee that he weeds any of this corruption out or fixes anything, but he's the best bet for the time being. If we're looking at a chessboard, that's the move forward. Police have been broken for a long time in big cities. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. These cops don't care about you. These are Democrat cops in Democrat-run cities who only somewhat come off as conservative because they're slightly more conservative than the liberals in the town they live with. But they're appointed by liberal chiefs of police who are appointed by liberal mayors to enact liberal policies, allowing people to loot and raid stores. So there's no that like there you go. I mean, I think that's more than sufficient. I don't know how else to get into that, but I can also just say, additionally, it's like the corporate press tactic to be like, a year ago, Tim said X. Today, he says Y. It's like, okay, yeah, like the circumstances around everything have completely changed. I was for DeSantis a year ago. But Tim, you supported DeSantis and said he was the right guy for the job, but now you're saying it's Trump? Yeah, DeSantis fucked everything up. Things are different. I love how they go back and they pull up these quotes from me saying, for X reason or Y reason, Donald Trump could have a 51 state landslide. My favorite example is Moody's Analytics took a look at the economy and gas prices and said, our pie in the sky assessment based on the current economic factors is that Donald Trump wins by a landslide margin. Then I do a video. I'm like, can you believe it? Then when Joe Biden wins, they take a video from fucking 2 years ago with a totally different context pre-COVID and then say, can you believe Tim thought this was going to happen? It's like, well, no shit. I was reading Moody's Analytics, which tends to get it correct based on economic factors. To go back in time and then be like, you said one thing then and one thing now. It's like a stupid non-argument. We should be talking about what's happening now, what's our vision forward, and, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, thanks for calling in, and I'll leave it there. Time to go to bed.
Almost. We have one more caller.
Yeah.
Oh, we do.
Thanks,
all right,
man.
well, thanks for calling in, man. We're going to jump to the next caller.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, next up, we got Patriot. Almost missed you there.
Hey, buddy.
What up? We'll go late.
Hopefully he's still here. Wake up, Patriot. There he is.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
What up?
Thank me for taking to call you.
You got it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm from PA. I had to get that off my chest and maybe bring a little levity.
It worked.
Oh, we're having a good time.
Yeah. So my question was about Liberty Safes. And I think, Tim, you kind of answered some of it earlier in the YouTube show. But does anyone on the panel think that Liberty or any company protecting people's personal and private assets should defend against the warrant by exhausting appeals processes first, especially considering warrants are often overturned?
I mean,
they should have said,
yeah.
The judge must give us an order that our lawyers will challenge.
It's got to be like the last resort. And that's even with like the CEO's hands are tied kind of thing. Like there's no way to bypass this. Then you could argue like, well, but they're a violent terrorist and we have to get in there to stop the bomb. And like, okay, maybe there's extenuating circumstances, but I mean, you get a warrant for that shit.
I don't even think it's that nefarious. Whoever had the power to give these codes away obviously doesn't care about the Bill of Rights, right? Obviously doesn't care about your rights as a U.S. citizen. So I think that's why it's important that when you do business with a company, just know who's running the company, because all it takes is one person.
Like, how's Apple?
Screw it up.
How's Apple? How's Apple more protective than this Liberty Safe company? Like, Apple wouldn't easily just give up.
That's crazy.
You know, your
they have
passcode.
That was a long time
the right
ago,
person
though.
in the position to
Yeah.
be like,
With
government.
Apple, you would need a court order.
That was
They're
like
you can't come in and say,
2013.
hey, I have a warrant for Tim Pool. Can you give us his password?
Maybe because Liberty Safe is in Utah, and so the American federal government can smash them up, whereas Apple's like overseas, so they're kind of like, fuck you, come and take it.
Or
There was an email company that the feds went to, and I forgot the name of it was. They said, give us a backdoor. They issued a national security letter saying you can't talk about this and you're going to create a backdoor and give us access to these servers. And the guy said, fuck you, and shut his company down overnight.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Also, a decade ago, it was way like more cool to be like, fuck you, government.
Yeah.
And now it's all like, you know, what they've been doing with Twitter, this bullshit fascist stuff where they're in
Just
cahoots.
obey.
Yeah, I think that sentiment was kind of laid into the dirt
Lava
in
bit.
like 2020. Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
They shut down. He's just like, fuck you.
Yep. They came, the feds came to him and said, we want access to Ed Snowden's email. We want a backdoor. And he was like, not going to happen.
Awesome.
And his answer to them being like, you have to do it was, not if the company doesn't exist.
This guy would be a good guest. The dude that shut that company down.
Yeah.
Lava bit. That's fucking badass.
It's really interesting how back then it felt like before Trump, if the government was doing something wrong, the government was considered the problem. Now it's like you blame the party or you blame the president that's in charge. The general public would have been like, the government was the problem in 2013. We're not giving the government the power to look at our phone, right? But now, because people are so partisan, they're like, well, it's a Democrat in charge. That I wonder if a company would hold on grounds that they don't agree with the person who's currently head of that government wants them to give them the password.
And it sounds like they restarted a year later.
Oh, cool.
And they're doing end-to-end encryption so that they can't get access to this stuff. So they shut down and then
That's good.
relaunch later.
They relaunched with bulletproof service. Do you think what changed this? Like, is it social media? Is what made people subservient to the government?
That, and I think a lot of it is like people have finally recognized just how protected the Obama administration was and how much they worked against Trump, and it's just divided people so much farther. Plus Snowden happened, Assange, all of those things kind of trickled down and led to a weird partisanship. It was the distrust first. It was the NSA leaks and all that stuff. That distrust of government led to partisanship, and now it's just the way it is.
I mean, look at the kid in Maine or something, or New York, that got arrested this year for the Discord leaks, right?
I remember
because of the
that.
Ukraine war. Yeah. They hauled his ass away.
He was in the news for like 3 days.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name? We should talk about that guy
It's sad
more.
that no one's talking about him. I still think about that, but yeah. How was that, Patriot? I don't know if you have anything to add there.
I just was going to say, do you think that these companies have a legal obligation to fight it through the appeals process before they turn over? Apple would have fought it the entire way, and I think they did until the federal government gave up.
They don't have a legal
Considering
obligation.
what they're protecting and their advertisements for protecting it, just to turn over real quick, even at a lower court order, seems to be antithetical to the product that they're selling.
Yeah, what I would say is like they should be using it as a business tactic. Like, look, we are going to protect your property no matter what. Like, we are not going to give up we're not just going to give the government the codes because they say so. We will exhaust every legal avenue to protect your privacy up until that very moment that we're forced to do so. That's something they should be marketing on and following through on rather than just caving at the first instance, especially if it's a safe company.
Yeah, it's a company that makes safe. Yeah. The guy's name's Jack Teixeira, by the way, the Discord guy that leaked all that data on Discord. You mentioned Jack Teixeira. I'm not sure how you pronounce it exactly. Yeah. I think maybe morally or ethically, these companies should have some sort of duty to exhaust every legal channel before they give it over.
It is your moral obligation to, push back on the U.S. government at any point, at all points.
But what does that mean? What is morality really in this dirty kill or be killed world? I don't know. We make laws so that you don't have to debate morality in the heat of the moment. Yeah, fuck yeah, they should have to exhaust every legal channel. That's so fucked up. Or tell people ahead of time that, hey, if asked, we're going to give your keys away, just so you know.
Yeah, they shouldn't do that.
I don't think they're the only safe company. I think there's a bunch of them that have backdoors. It's fucking crazy.
Now it's definitely time
for
you
got to look.
Patriot, I'm exhausted.
Yes.
Thanks for calling in, man.
Hey, everybody should come to the After Dark and check out the Discord. It gets pretty spicy over there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a go, man. Thanks for calling in. We should
good night.
Well, we should promote that on this Friday. We'll shout it out and we'll let people know. Like when you become a member, there's pre-shows, there's after shows, there's a bunch of really cool stuff going on.
After Dark, is that the name of it?
As long as there's no during shows, we don't want people going on during the show.
Or how many?
I mean, they're talking during.
They're always talking during the show.
Oh, they're doing like commentary, running commentary.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like the real chat where you're not getting like weird spam and stuff.
They're telling us we're wrong, but they're telling us we're wrong in a polite way.
So everybody stick around and go to the Discord for the after show. Terrence, thanks for hanging out.
Hey, thanks for having me. I had a blast.
Absolutely. Thanks for the pancakes. It's going to be fun. And for everybody who's a member, you guys rock. Thank you for your ongoing support. We've got a bunch of really awesome stuff in the works. I wish things moved faster, but they go as they go. Talking to Andrew Gruel, and we're going to open these restaurants. I've been talking to Jack about doing this for a long time. We just need someone who can do it. And Chef Gruel is like, bro, I could totally do it. We're like, yeah, we're going to make it happen. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all tomorrow.